identity, data, and AI. If you've been following us through this 6 weeks journey, thank you for your consistency. Thank you for staying across with us. If you're just stumbling on our video, please do well to watch all the previous videos so that you'll be able to understand how we got here on the journey of Microsoft security. Last week we looked at the information protection model in Microsoft Purview and the capabilities of the information protection model. We talked about one very key feature there, which is the sensitive information type. And how Microsoft has already given us 300 built sensitive information type. We explained how, as an organization, you can customize your own sensitive information type using things like reg expressions, using things like keywords, dictionary words, and so on and so forth. We also talked about the Context Explorer and Activity Explorer. Activity Explorer looks at the activity in your organization and then tells you where sensitive information types are used, while Context Explorer looks at the content. So with focus on Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, Copilot, and you can even extend this to your data catalog. So you can do a project where your organization has different data in SQL databases in different locations, and then you can build a data catalog that you use extended connectors from Purview into those data sources, and Purview can pull that and categorize them for you to be able to do stuff. That's where you begin to move advance and work with the guys in the data engineering space. But from a M365 services, which is your Exchange. Exchange, for those who don't know, is Microsoft's email platform, right? It's called Exchange. And then your SharePoint is where you use to manage things like document libraries and the rest, and your OneDrive and Teams, like most of you are familiar, which is what we're using here to chat, is also a collaboration platform, meaning that I can send you an information on chat, I can upload information to you on chat. So anywhere that data is stored and data, then it needs to be categorized because you want to manage that information. And then Copilot, as many of you know, Copilot is Microsoft's own artificial intelligence that is available for organizations, right? It's even available to you free on the internet, but as an organization, you can pay for the paid version so that you can use it to also create insights into your corporate data. Now, bringing it back to Purview, right? Purview will now say, as a content location that it knows that you have because you are consuming Microsoft services, it can tell you where different sensitive information type that it has based on its 300 built-in is. Or it, when you create those your own sensitive information type, it can also tell you where contents are matching this. And it can also break it down to the sensitivity label. So we talked about how I have a sensitive information type. Someone should please help me mute that person. I have a sensitive information type, and then you can now create a sensitivity label to match that information type. So what's the sensitivity label? It is saying that I want a label that I'm going to push to my, my staff, that anytime they see this label, they can use it on any documentation that they want to classify with that sensitive information type, and they want a particular action. So I can say a general public sensitivity label, meaning that if you put this label on your document, then it's seen that it's okay to be viewed by everybody. But you can have a label called restricted. Then what it means is that it's restricted to only certain kind of people. You can have a label called confidential. Then what it means is that even though you have access to this document, it's a confidential document. So you see why it's worrisome when sometimes we stumble on certain informations on the internet. While we're excited to get visibility and see something, what we tend to forget is that if that information has been classified as confidential, for some of us in the security space, when we consume that information by virtue of what it is revealing, we also worry to say, how did a confidential information get available now to a public domain? So as a security person, especially for me who have done forensic and investigation, I begin to say, what process did they have in place that a confidential document like this had access to leave the organization and landed and found itself on the public domain? So you will find yourself begin to think like this, trust me, as you progress in your career. While you'll be excited to consume information from blog sites and all of that, you begin to think differently. I wait to hear some of your feedbacks on how your conversations begin to change when you sit among friends and families going forward, and people are diverging certain things, and how you're feeling. Someone wanted to share an exciting information with me about something, and then she shared a conversation she had with somebody. And because I know that she probably did not consent to get the person's consent when she recorded that conversation, but she was excited to give me that information. When she shared it with me and I consumed it, the next thing I said to her was, I'm deleting this off my phone, and I don't know on what purpose you want to keep it, but I know you didn't get consent from this other person, so I would recommend that you delete it. However, if you want to keep this, make sure that you're keeping it in a location. And she just said, Your word. And I'm like, yeah, because I know, right, that out of excitement, you took this conversation, recorded it just because you were just a. Now, there's nothing wrong in that conversation. There was no negativity there. But from a data protection perspective, that's somebody's voice, guys, right? Now follow me where I'm going to. Now look at what's happening with AI, where I can take your voice, I can use a clone system, I can clone your voice, and I can create a script, and I can use that your clone to create that script, and I can have multiple versions of your voice saying different things that you did not say. Is somebody thinking now? It's not like this is a new technology, but because of the new wave of AI solutions that can allow us do this from anywhere, easy peasy. Last 2 weeks, if not more, I just launched a Spotify podcast. Boom, what did I do? I got onto 11 Labs, put my voice, cloned it, told it to give me a baby version of my voice, and boom, I launched a podcast that talks about parents and child security online from my phone. No, so the way we can use things to be innovative and creative is the same way people can use it. So I was saying to her that what you have done innocently, right, could be misused. Now, I told her, I said, I don't know how many people, now this is me because of how I think. I said, you sent it to me, I can only vouch for myself, my integrity. How many people are you going to send this to? And genuinely, you would think that they are thinking like you, and probably they know who you have that voice recording of. And genuinely, there's nothing in this voice conversation that is wrong. But when, the scripture will say, when the enemy wants to walk, right? My language, Igbo, will say, "A person that run overnight, he walks even beyond the hours you ask him to walk." That voice can be cloned. So where am I going to? I'm saying we now live in a world where data is very important, and how we manage and secure data. So when you have certain things, right, that you keep locking around, you need to ask yourself, who would have access to it? What classification, or what have I classified this data to be? How sensitive is this data? Where should this data be? Is it in the right place? If somebody has access to it, what does it mean? And that's where Povy helps us in the corporate environment, where we can understand where, imagine people's lab results, right? There was a time on the internet, somebody wanted to talk about how he wasn't treated properly. We used it in one of my classes in Mama Cybership. And he scanned the report and sent. Now the report he wanted to show us from the screen. So maybe it was one of the medical people that said, "Oh, God, come and take your phone and take it." Maybe, but he had the IP address. Right now, while that's an internal IP, again because of me, and I'm in tech, I'm already saying, okay, information. So everybody I saw in the comment section, well, I won't say everybody, but those that commented, people focused more on what that content was saying. Imagine me take where my eye was going to IP address, this. And that's how hackers think, right? They look for the loose end. So you are excited, you take your phone and you take a picture of yourself, right? In front of your house with your house number, and you say, to God be the glory, we just got back from a wonderful journey, vacation, and I'm excited. Me and my family, we just got home. It was a wonderful time. And wow, during this time, I met a lot of people, and I just signed a 1 million deal. that, watch out for the next phase of innovation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm seeing your house number, social engineering. You're giving too much information that is not necessary for that context. It's okay for us to know you came back from vacation. That's not a wrong information, but you're giving it in the. So imagine if you were just in your car or in the airport or in a park without details about your house and without telling us you just arrived today, but just say, oh, we just came back for a vacation and it was a nice trip. And in that process of that vacation, I had the opportunity to meet business partners and I signed, a good deal with. Are you seeing it? The same information, but at two different locations, two different places. That has watered down the risk with the information that you're giving. So we say to people, it's not that we're saying don't take pictures and put online. Oh, it's okay. We're not saying don't do this. Somebody please help me mute the person. All we're saying is that data that you are creating and you are storing, you should pay attention to where you're storing and keeping data and what you're doing with data, because we now live in a world where all of those information can be used and processed for things. Somebody muted them. Trying to mute people. All right. So we looked at all of this last week, right? And then moving forward, we now want to understand how Purview uses the data security posture management to help, provide enhanced, data security. And that's why I came to the Content Explorer to say that even from the Content Explorer, for example, taking this medical terms, condition, sensitive information type, you can see that it has detected that this sensitive information type. So imagine in your organization, medical terms and condition was a wow sensitive information type, right? It might just look very simple, but we're already seeing it being used in an artificial intelligence. So from a security perspective, you want to know what is it being used at. Are they copying somebody's medical record and putting there, or are they trying to do a research on a medical condition that is being found, or are they taking the company's research documents and uploading in the AI? You want to understand, and you can't understand it just by reading it, except you understand what this medical term, sensitive information type that was created means. And then you also want to go into Copilot to see what is happening there. And that's where the DSPM for AI will help you. Now, another thing that the DSPM for AI will do for you is if you're an organization and you're saying, we're ready for AI, right? We want to start using AI, but we don't know where to start. We want to make sure that our environment has at least the right data postures in place before we start. Microsoft has put what they call the data risk assessment. So that's where I will start with. What this data risk assessment will do for you, it will help you assess and prevent, oversharing. What do we mean by oversharing? When you introduce artificial intelligence in your organization by buying the license method of Copilot, what it does is that the AI can go anywhere that data is kept and pull information, but it will only honor, very key, listen, it will only honor the permission rights that you, the user who is requesting for it, has. So you see why it's very important, the user access model that you were taught is key. Imagine as a identity analyst, you give people access to things without knowing if they need it. And then imagine me being put in a HR group, and that group is being used to grant permission to HR's SharePoint site. And in HR's SharePoint site, they have given that group owner rights because they just said, give everybody owner rights. We were all in HR. There's no segregation. Meanwhile, people are not doing the same type of role and function. And so just by entering or mistakenly being added in the HR group, I automatically have access to the HR SharePoint site. And not only do I have access, I have owner access because that group was not, segregation of duty was not done in the group. So it was just one flat group. So segregation of duty was not done in the site. It was one flat group and everybody was put inside that group and given owner rights. And now I have access. And so the organization now decides to introduce Copilot, right? Now, I don't even know that one IAM analyst has made that mistake, has added me in a group mistakenly I'm not supposed to do. I don't know because I'm not in HR and I don't need it. Are you seeing it? I don't need anything in HR, but I've been mistakenly added to a group and the organization does not do group review. Now, somewhere down the line, digital innovation team go to management, propose how the organization is going to excel if we introduce AI. And then after doing their research, they're like, you know what, let's go with the Microsoft AI way. It has a lot of ways we can enhance security. Boom, they come to IT. IT is excited. Now imagine IT doesn't do a data access risk management. They just go turn on Copilot for everybody. What will happen is if I sit on my tree and out of curiosity one day, I'm searching for something and I say, I would like to, I'm not even specific. I'm not specific to our organization, but I just go to Copilot now that I'm giving Copilot and I will say, I would like to know, um, kindly give me salary structure. I will say, or if you were HR, right, assume yourself as a HR director trying to create a salary structure for the, can you give me a salary structure for a senior executive as a CEO and MD? And can you provide justifications and other benefits that are tied? Kindly also include the reference site where you got this information. Now, because I'm using a paid Copilot, Copilot will honor my organization's data first before it goes to the internet. So boom, before you know it, I'm able to see a salary structure with benefits and a supporting link. And when I click on that link, boom, it opens a SharePoint site. A typical user who is not a type of user like Joy, who is IT, would be excited that they can see information that shows them salaries of executives in their organization and probably their benefits. And they're like, wow. So we're here working and August children's school fees are being paid. You know, the typical user who doesn't think that you do want to become an Oga, but they're selecting information just because I have been given over privilege. And I will not know that I have. I'm a normal user. But because of that mistake somebody in IT has made in service decks or whatever by putting me in a group I shouldn't, I have had access to a repository I shouldn't. So the first thing we always say to organizations when you want to start the use of AI is to conduct a data risk assessment. You want to identify where people have oversharing assets that they shouldn't have, and the data security posture management for AI will help you do that. So once you come here, you will see assess and prevent oversharing, and then you would click, you see it will help you protect, monitor, and all you need to do is come here and click create custom assessment, and you just call it, maybe we just call it pilot 0 assessment. And it's going to ask you, do you want to do this assessment for specific people or for all? So again, we can ask the people who are driving this innovation. This innovation, is it all the staffs that are going to use it? Do you want to buy a license for everybody, or do you want to buy a license for only certain people? You're going to have them solely say to certain people, but then you're also going to have the data protection person in your organization say, you know what, I even want to see what's happening for everybody. So can you run the one for specific people and export that report? And can you run another one for everybody? So if it was specific people, then you say, you click here and then either you add the users manually or you look for a group that you have that in your tenant. So for example, let me just look for one of people's plenty groups that you create here. Here you can find, I can't remember all the groups, so I'm just going to say users. So we just select random users here for our demo purposes, and then we add, right? And then next, and then it says, what are the data sources that you want to access? So I want to access SharePoint, right? I want to know. Now, who can tell me why you are not seeing email here? and it's okay if it's tricky and confusing, but who understands why when we're doing data sharing, we don't necessarily want to see email? Maybe a shared mailbox might become relevant in future for Microsoft, yes. But for here, you don't want, because if I have access to my email, it's my email, I should have access to it, right? So that's why. But a general repository like SharePoint, the same thing with OneDrive. If I have access to my OneDrive, it's just that I probably must have shared a link in my OneDrive. So you want to know that. So I'm sure Microsoft will work on that. But SharePoint is always a public repository, meaning that it's owned by more than one person. So that's why by default you will see a SharePoint here, right? And then you say next, and that's it. Review and run this data set, assessment. That's it, and boom. What this does for you, you can see, is that you have started a risk assessment for those, for example, those 5 users, to understand where they have oversharing permissions given to them. And when that thing goes off and runs, depending on the number of sites, you can see it's in progress. It will give you a report that will show Joy has access to HR SharePoint site. Dorcas has access to executive officer's SharePoint site. And questions will now be like, is Dorcas in the executive office? No. How come? Is Joy in HR? No. How come? Or Joy is in HR, but she is in learning and development. Why does she have access to payroll folder? Are you seeing it? And then you can now take that as IT, come up with remediation methods, fix that thing before you now turn on Copilot. So that's how we recommend the rollout of Copilot, best practice in an organization, just to make sure that people don't have access to what they are not supposed to have access. Prior to now, we will use scripts and other things to do this, but Microsoft started releasing this. You can see it's still in preview. It's coming up bit by bit, but it's a very powerful tool that can help you identify, protect, and monitor your SharePoint access for AI, in this instance, Microsoft Copilot 365 Copilot use. Any questions, please? Now, you can also, when you start, just go straight to recommendations, which will tell you some of the recommendations that you need to do to ensure data security for AI in your environment, right? It will put a couple of recommendations here for you to be able to see the things that are happening in your organizations, and you can go through each of them. So, for example, you can see here there's a recommendation here that says discover and govern interactions with ChatGPT. I think because we know that ChatGPT is widely used by most people, right? If in your organization you don't have a licensed ChatGPT for your organization, you want to know and monitor certain interactions that your people are using your corporate laptop to do with ChatGPT and what they're doing there. And so you can turn this on. And when you turn it on, it will be able to so I don't have a subscription here, so I won't be able to do this. You need an active Microsoft Purview account, and you can see single sign-on turned on in the workplace. So I don't have this. We don't have this license, but is it doable? Yes, it is. It's one of the things that we can do. You can get guided assistance to AI regulations. Again, we know that the European AI Act has come out, and I think America has their own. And so imagine your organization, if you're in Europe or in America, you need to adhere to those AI acts. You want to study those acts, find out what they request. And so this setting helps you adhere to it. And one of the things the AI Act talks about is that you need to monitor logs for AI interactions. You need to monitor AI interactions into other apps. You need to flag risky communication and content in AI interactions. So imagine the scenario where somebody was telling AI to help them create the passport of something in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, when the person posted it in Twitter, ChatGPT went and fixed that error so it won't work again. So those kind of things, it means that ChatGPT has a tool that flags the risky communication and interaction with AI. So you want to do that in your organization, where imagine somebody writing something in AI that can defame the character. And the good thing is that it will tell you which regulation. So here it's talking about the NIST AI framework. The risk AI framework expects you as an organization that uses AI to flag risky communication and content, right? The NIST AI framework also expects you as an organization to monitor AI interactions. Um, so if you're in governance, risk and compliance, if that's your pathway, you want to now sit down and understand what is governance, risk and compliance for AI now that we're in the world of AI, and how can Purview help me so that I can know that my organizations are doing it right. So one of the things you want to put as you engage as GCR is to tell organizations, have you turned on this configuration on your Purview, because it will help you adhere to these compliance requirements. Yeah, so once you do that and turn it on, right, it would be able to tell you where all the it will be able to match those 4 regulatory and compliance requirements, right? And then once you match them, you'll be able to mark yourself as compliant. So I'm just saying, yes, I'm done here. So you can see it has implemented this for me. And Microsoft has done in such a way that all I did was click a button and it started implementing it. So you have to be careful to in your organization. You want to probably check the setting, because I know what it's doing. That's why I'm doing that. Just so that you get approval before you turn those settings on. So these are about 12 or 13 settings that you can turn on that can help you ensure that the interaction of AI in your environment is right. We have another one called Detect Unethical Behavior in AI. Again, we don't have the license here for AI, but then in this one, it'll be telling us if people are using, sensitive words. Imagine somebody using very sensitive words in the AI tool, um, um, and then it can flag it. I don't want to say those words because I know that these recordings are going to be uploaded in YouTube, and I don't want YouTube to flag it. So that's why I'm not using some of those words, right? But those kind of words that are classified as sensitive and unethical, right? You will find those kind of words being detected by the DSPM for AI when you turn it on. Another good thing that you can get here is the reporting. So you can come on, and when you turn the reporting on, it can export reports for you, right? That will tell you all of this, all of those things that we've turned on, right? You will now begin to see them in your report, right? We just turned on it too. So let me see if we have anything around them. I don't have Copilot on this tenant, and I don't have the full Purview. So that's why we're not seeing it. But in the extended class that I'm going to do, I will get a tenant because there's a free 90-day license for Purview. So I will turn on Purview and I will get a Copilot license tenant so that we can really appreciate it. Because like I said, I really want us to learn this. This is another skill set that is in high demand. So I'm going to make sure I activate those licenses for those other sessions, and I will get it to be up for at least 30 to 90 days. So, but this is what you can do. Reports will show us what we're doing there, and we can again export those reports, discuss it in an organization, and see where we're going on. Then you can come to policies, where you can also now create your own policies, right? Of the type of policies that you want to manage sensitive information type around artificial intelligence. You can come and create your own policies here and tell it what you want. Again, Purview is not activated, the licensed one, so I can't do this. If you come to Activity Explorer, again, the same Activity Explorer we had in information protection, under AI, it will also tell you things that you can see, certain activities that are being done in your organization using AI, and the DSPM will flag it. And again, this is a role permission, so you can see you require a role here. It says your role can't view AI visits. For permission, ask an administrator to change your role. So all of this determine, I have to check what role I need to go and add. So I'll go to enter role, add myself there, and I'll be able to see these activities. Again, not everybody in the organization should be able to see it. Now I'm seeing this is a new thing Microsoft deployed, which is the apps and agents. So our colleagues who are in the agents class and in the Power Apps class and all of that, that are infusing AI and learning how to use the agentic AI, right? So it's also been added here. So now you can use the DSPN to monitor apps and monitor agents. Are you seeing it? And it can tell you what interaction is happening. You can see, you will be able to see user trend, prompt trends, response trends, and you'll be able to see if there's any data protection policy that you have in place currently. So for example, we can have data protection that says that people should not be able to copy from XYZ label into ChatGPT, into any third-party AI apps. And so for this ChatGPT settings, I'll be expecting that I will see such kind of policy show here if we had that policy turned on, and vice versa. So this is how you use the data security posture management to manage your environment for the use of AI, right? If you're in governance, risk, and compliance, and you need to study the AI Act, and an organization engages you and say, come and tell us from a governance, risk, and compliance perspective, are we, are we adhering to the regulators' demand for the use of AI, right? You also want to understand even where are the applications that they're using, where are the AI applications they're using, how are they using it, and then if you spend time in the DSPM, it will give you all those information. You can pull your report and make your recommendations to them and show them how they can use this to ensure that they adhere to what the regulators are asking, and you can extend it to apps and agents. You can do your data risk assessment that tells the organization how much exposure that they have, and they can fix before they turn on AI tools. And that brings me to the end of DSPM for AI. Any question? Any question, please?
I would have asked questions, but I need to merge this with the last classes so I'll be able to. I followed on, but I need to really understand what and how. But
That's
this
fine.
one you just taught, I get what you're trying to, as in trying to be as discreet as possible, and I think zero trust, least
Yep.
privilege,
Yep.
what else again in that thing? Least privilege,
Assume bridge.
information, access. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the whole idea of what the DSMPM is that is trying to do for organizations is that everybody is using AI, whether you're using Copilot AI that you license or whether you're using third party, for example, ChatGPT. You want to make sure that there's data security posture management. And so what this does for you is that you can set up policies that can monitor the interactions. You can also use this to say the regulators are saying I must do ABCD. I have done them because I have this done, and this is what the regulators are asking for, and I have it, and you can spool your report, right? You can also use it to do your data assessments. So somebody comes and say, IT, we want to turn on Copilot, we want to introduce AI in the environment, but we want to make sure that are we data ready? Is our data exposed to any type of risk? That's what you do. You run your risk assessment report, data risk assessment report, and provide it to the organization. And then they can see the gaps and the recommendations and begin to fix those recommendations, right? Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
Really, I just have how would I put it now? Maybe like uh, something to say about it. I don't know what word to use. Forgive me. Okay, so I looked at some of these things you're discussing, data protection and everything. To me, it seems they are no new things. Growing up, we are trained to be able to to be to protect territories, to
Mm-hmm.
be able to be discreet to check on these things. But the more the um, knowledge is, the more knowledge we have now, the more people will still throw out
For sure.
information easily. Yeah. So it's challenging my thoughts. Like,
I like and that's cool. So I don't know if you finished asking your question. Sorry.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So yes, so I like that. So that's the question. I tell people, I say there's nothing new that's happening. It's just the evolution of man is we're forgetting to also adjust. So back in this when there was no tech, right? You if when there was no tech, how do you know that your neighbor and his wife are quarreling? Right? When there was no
Yeah,
technology. It's either
yeah,
if they raise their voice up, right? Or
yeah,
maybe you came into the house, or one of them will come and tell you. I'm just giving an example. But now, because there's tech, somebody and his wife is calling. The next thing, the person brings up their phone, starts to video themselves, right? And
yeah.
push it out there. And boom, we're like, so
Oh,
Mr. A and Mr. B are quarreling. So it's the human nature not being able to understand this change. It's like when you were growing and you were going into puberty, not being able to understand your body changes, and you're wondering the same thing when you're moving into menopause. For those of us women, your body is acting up. You don't understand. You can't explain. Today is headache, tomorrow is fever, next tomorrow is hot flush. You can't even explain what it is they're going through. That's the same thing. So where is the caution? The caution is now for we in tech, we who are the tech professionals, continuously educating or bringing up other technologies that can sit upon this introduction of tech that we have done so that we can ensure security. So it's the same thing in the real world. These people now keep on refreshing people, educating people, teaching people the right way. So now if you're a marriage counselor, you now need to start, in those days, in marriage counselor class, they'll talk to you about how many children. Now they need to start asking, how do you handle social media? How do you handle the urge to want to put out your information there? I see begin to ask those kind of questions because it's the way evolution is happening. We also need to change. The same thing with tech actually. Back in the days, I have a I have a book I'm writing, and one topic is around strangers. I think on my Spotify post last week I talked about it. I said many of you, even growing up, I know how my parents said it lots of time to me, don't talk to strangers. Like it was a constant K, don't talk to strangers. But I bet you, all of you in this room, all of you have said that to your children, but all of you, your children are talking to strangers, and all of us are also talking to strangers. And I'm sure you're like, how? Yeah. So your children are in Roblox, playing Roblox, in Minecraft. My son likes Roblox playing. So what did we had to disable chat because he's talking to, the moment we leave chat, he's talking to stranger. I don't know who he's talking to. How do I know that the person he's talking to is a real 8-year-old like him? I don't know. That's a stranger. Because the person created a name online does not make the person. But in the game world, it's not stranger. It's saying that that's my friend because why? They've connected, they followed each other. So that's my friend. So what am I saying? Evolution is happening, change is coming. We need to start thinking. So as cybersecurity professionals, we're also thinking because people are interested in artificial intelligence, we have shouted enough, oh, know how to use AI. No. We can't. So we need to be able to do some insights and monitoring and security to just make sure that people are not taking corporate information and sharing it out there. There are many people that the kind of things that they do in their personal life, when they come into the corporate world, is a struggle for them because the corporate world is much more, strict and there are certain rules. That's why some people, it's not necessarily that they don't have work, it's that they cannot work under strict rules. It's not that they don't have work. Don't let them. I meet certain people, I'm like, no, you can't work in a corporate environment with this kind of lifestyle. It's not because they don't have work or not because they don't want to go and look for. They don't want someone to tell them you cannot do A because you cannot do. They want to be able to do what they want to do when they want to do it, how they want to do it. And the corporate world is not like that. Majorly because there's regulators. So you must do certain things this way. So to just buttress what you're saying, yes, we're now in a world where is it that people are throwing caution? I don't really think it's that people are throwing. It's just that the evolution of man is experiencing something new, and the what was trained is different. How the person was trained and wired is different. So we need to create that new awareness on how we train people to understand how to use technology in our time. I spoke somewhere where I told someone that I was looking at status on one day and it was career day. And I saw, okay, I think it was here last week, and I saw lots of parents put up their children career day, and it was still the same careers that we had as kids, I'm in my 40s, the same career. And I'm not saying those careers are not still existing, but I'm not seeing any of the new things. And I can bet you your children who are in primary school today, many of them might not do that career that you are telling them to do, because either they might do something similar but it's changed. So for example, your child will want to do medicine, but maybe want to be a researcher in the medical industry because now there's artificial intelligence. Or your child engineering maybe wants to be a data engineer or an AI engineer. Or are you getting it? We're still doing that locking. So I'm like, so you see why there's a problem. Because even we who think we are woke, we're not even woke enough to know what to do. And our kids who are now growing up will be forced to learn or get exposure online versus from even us. So we need to keep going out there to get the right information so that we can help. So again, like I said, evolution is happening. We ourselves need this education so that we can go. So now, the thought that I know that people now throw caution, anybody can record your voice now, would put you in that consciousness of, I'm having a conversation with somebody, I need to be cautious. But back in the days, we know it, but you know that you're supposed to ask somebody before asking. Now, because everybody wants to show evidence, why? If you post somebody, say, oh, I know, say, where's your evidence? No evidence, you go explain tire. They use all those terminologies. So people will throw caution. So you too, as a person, you need to also live. What are the controls I have put in place to just make sure that we're having XYZ conversation of somebody and I'm going to be saying sensitive things. I need to make sure that this space is secure. So it's either probably I make it a face-to-face meeting so that I'm seeing the person versus an online meeting and stuff like that. So I feel you, but that's the world we're in. Any questions? All right. So once again, thank you guys for staying with us in text. I think this is our 6th week, right? If I'm not mistaken, this is 6 weeks of learning. Thank you for staying through. I thought it was going to be 8 weeks, but we've been told that this is it for the cohort. But as I said, for those who have not joined, I will communicate to textilers leaders that for security, we would, after textilers graduation, after the Tech Deep Dive cohort 6 graduation, we would reconvey to take our data and AI class exactly the way we wanted to take it, detailed with assignments and projects too. But yes, it's outside the program, just to make sure that we help you guys get the experience as much as we want. I would sacrifice my time for that. I want to see you succeed. I want to also see you add this skill to your list of skills. So in that class, I would, before I come on that class, make sure that I have turned on a active purview license, trial license, so that we can at least see this in motion and see how it works. In the absence of that, I'll stop sharing so that if anybody stop sharing and stop recording.